Welcome to Gingerspyce Tiefling Druid episode 13. In this episode, I'm going to be doing Memoirs of an Illusory Larcener in the Harbor, and I am level 13. Don't the fire wings look great in fire elemental form? I just love it. The fire wings just add a whole new dimension to the fire elemental form. I think it really looks great. As much as I'm not a fan of the Reaper wings in general, I think the fire ones do go well with fire elemental form, so druids and fire sorks rejoice. Alright. Let's take a look at where things are. We'll start with gear. Most of the gear is the same as last episode, so I'm going to quickly go over some pieces, like the Trinkets the same, Insightful Wisdom, and Spell Save 5, Resistance 5. The Torque is the same. This is a new piece of gear, the Pansophic Circlet, level 13. And this comes from the quest that I'm doing, which is why I chose this quest. This is a relatively common drop from a relatively short quest. And this is one of the nicest general potency items in the game, and at level 13 certainly is really nice, and added value to a druid caster. Because druid casters do so many different damage types, we're not, really specialized, like an ice sork or a fire sork, and just focusing on one or two elements. We have lots of different elements, so it's really nice to have spell power for all of them, and trying to fit, a combustion item and a acid damage item and a glaciation item and a magnetism item. That can be really tough to do. So it's nice to have it all on one. So this isn't, going to be as high as a dedicated, say, like glaciation item, but it's pretty good. The potency 63, insightful potency 31, quality potency 8, magical efficiency 5%, making our spells cost 5% less to cast. Super cool. Slotted with the Sapphire of Good Luck +1. You can get those from the Giant Hold Trader for Giant Hold relics. If you're not really familiar with where you can acquire certain augments in the game and stuff, I have another video that I did as part of the Druid's Second Life series, the Northwind 2 series, where I talked about acquiring augments, and then in that video I also talked about farming collectibles to build wealth. I'll put a link in this video description if that subject interests you. Got a Mythic Head Boost +3 to boot. If you're lucky enough, you could, as a very, very, very rare drop, find a Reaper version of this that had +2 to all stats on it. I have not been lucky enough to find any piece of headgear that can only drop on headgear that can drop with Reaper properties on it, and I've never actually pulled one. That's how rare it is, and this stuff's been out for like 2.5 years. Some of my guildies have been lucky enough to pull one. I know they're out there. I've never pulled one, so if you haven't pulled one, don't feel bad. Like, I've never pulled one. It's crazy rare. So anyways, beautiful item to have potency, which is great for, all your spell powers, and really nice for a caster druid. So, okay, the Concordant Opposition Green Steel is the same, as is the Scales of Avarice Heavy Armor. This was, I used this for last episode, but as I said, I wasn't going to be using it as a permanent item until this episode. So at level 13, this is permanent, and the reason is because I was still benefiting from the magnetism of the Bracers of Wind before. But now that I have potency on the circlet, I can get away with not using the bracers. I didn't really need anything else. I was getting lightning lore. I'm getting lightning lore from my belt. The dodge isn't needed because, if you look at my armor class here, you can see I have 6% to dodge, and my max dodge is only 8. I have 3 from past lives, I have 3 from my enhancement tree, and when I step into Reaper mode, guess what? I'm getting 6 more points of dodge anyways, which means when I'm doing Reaper quests, I'm already well past the dodge cap, right? So I don't need the dodge from the bracers, but you can make your own choice as to whether or not you'd want that. And then the higher level version of the Bracers of Wind have other goodies on it too, like Air Guard. But I decided to go with the Mineral 2 bracers. This is a hit point item, like I mentioned last time, 45 stacking hit points. It also has Heavy Fort on it, Protection 5, and Constitution skills, which helps concentration. The ring is the same, Constitution mainly. The boots are the same, Sheltering and Dex, etc. Finger Gloves, primarily for lesser displacement. Big stacking, 25% mischance. Glaciation 77, Charisma 6 on the ring. Big stacking, Magnetism, and Glaciation on the belt. Remember, that's an enhancement bonus, not the regular old equipment bonus. And because there are so few enhancement bonus spell power items in the game, this does stack with nearly everything. So just a wonderful item for a cold or an electric caster. If you're a fire or an acid caster, you want to use the Burn Scar Sash. And then there's the Silver Thread Cord, which I believe has positive and negative spell power on it. You'll want to double check me on that one. This is new. This is the next level of the Cloak of Flame, so another legacy item, as I explained in earlier episodes. This is actually the level 15 item. However, years ago we were able to put the Masterful Craftsmanship shard on there to lower the minimum level by 2. You cannot do that anymore. This is the older version, though, which has lower combustion and actually higher. I think it's slightly higher fire lore, but actually a little bit lower combustion. So 6 and 1/2 dozen another. Just going to keep what I got kind of thing. The Heightened Awareness 2, as I said before, that does not stack with the parrying on the armor. Notice parrying says this is insightful. It's toward the bottom there, right above Mythic Armor 4. +2 insightful bonus to AC and saves. Whereas the Heightened Awareness is just +2 bonus to AC. So that the AC part wouldn't stack, so that's not really doing anything for me. This is really right now I get a little extra combustion out of it. Melee alacrity 10% was just because I was able to craft something onto that. Again, that's legacy crafting. You can't do that anymore. I just put that on there just to put something on there because I could. A little bit of fire absorption, that's cool, but really, totally, with the circlet now, this item can go, and it's going to go at level 15. I have I believe a Wisdom Cloak that I'll be replacing this with in a couple more levels. The shield is the same, Big Intimidate, some electrical absorption, and the triple positive Green Steel Scimitar, Exceptional Con, Big Stacking Healing Amplification. I'm actually going to replace this next level. Talk about that then. So some other items that I have set aside. I love to use Scrolls of Mass Spell Resistance at level 13. Actually, yeah. Actually, this is minimum level 11. I was thinking I couldn't use these till 13. In any event, these are awesome for heroics if you have the UMD to use them. It gives you spell resistance 12 plus 1 per caster level, caster level 13, so that's 25 spell resistance. That is a meaningful amount of spell resistance in heroics. So if you have the UMD to cast these scrolls, I highly recommend it. The mass spell resistance scrolls are a higher level than the regular spell resistance scrolls, also higher UMD. So if you have the UMD, you'd want to use these over the single target ones, even if you didn't care about your party. But with the mass ones, guess what? When you're buffing, just throw this as well, and your whole party gets it. Like I said, spell resistance 25 in heroics is meaningful, even in Reaper mode. Next, I have the next tier of Petrifying Runestones, the Greater Petrifying Runestones. These are level 13. It has a DC of 5 higher than the level 8 version, so DC of 34, fort save, not bad for level 13 content. It's not great, but it's works enough for me to want to carry these. As I've said before, you get a nasty champion or something, or a spellcaster, you can throw that on them and petrify them for a few seconds to just, until you're ready to deal with them, or just to stop them from casting nasty spells at you. Another one of my favorite items is the Vile Blasphemy. This is a very special item. Comes out of the Heroic Abbot raid. It could be worth wearing, but probably not these days. I remember a time in DDO's history that I actually wore this at level 13. It's Dexterity 6, UMD +3, so not bad. Greater Dispelling Guard. But what's really cool about this, it has 3 charges. When you get it, it only has 1 charge. You actually have to upgrade it to get the 3 charges. And legacy versions of this came with 3 charges, but when they revamped the loot a few years ago, they made it so that it drops with only 1 charge. You have to upgrade it to get 3. So it has the Power Drain, which every 6 seconds for 1 minute you get 2 to 12 spell points. And so 3 charges of that, so 3 minutes worth of spell point regen. Now, I want to clarify the text of it. It says it draws magical power from nearby entities and slowly feeds it to the caster. And people have gotten the misperception that there has to be like mobs nearby or something for that to work. It's not at all how this works. It doesn't matter if there are any mobs nearby. That's just sort of more or less flavor text. You could be all by yourself in a totally clear dungeon, and that will regenerate spell points. So many people have asked about that to me over the years, so just clarifying that. So, and what's really cool about this item is it's the only spell point regeneration item in the game that is not exclusive. So you can have as many of these as you want in your inventory. As you can see, I have 6 of them. So I really like this item. That's 18 charges of that spell point regen, so pretty cool. And yes, I actually will use 6. I used to only keep 5 of them, and I found that often enough. I went through all of them, so I decided to get 1 more. For years, I just said 5's enough, but I got 6 now. You can see I have the character sheet up. You can see the numbers: armor class 92, PRR 122, MRR 99. Those are pretty good numbers for level 13, especially considering that I'm not like a real, true, honest tank, right? I'm just a quasi-tank. Okay, so that's gear. Enhancements. I realized something after the last episode that, when I was fighting the Demon Queen, I never used my Winter's Heart, the big boost of temporary hit points. That would have been really helpful. I remember one time when I was fighting the Demon Queen, I got really, really low. I should have been using that, but I had just picked it up, so I wasn't like in the habit of using it yet. But I've been using it since then. You're walking into a big group of mobs, you hit that, and that gives you that buffer of temporary hit points that, when they're hitting you, it draws off of that instead of your permanent hit points. So that's it's a pretty nice enhancement. I wish that, like Shining Through from the Enlightened Spirit Warlock tree, that it doubled in epics, but it doesn't. In any event, it's kind of cool. Let's see. I've had the Word of Balance SLA since last episode. I picked up Time and Tide, +1 caster level and max caster level for spells in both seasons, and I picked up Crown of Summer, which gives me 15% bonus to healing amplification. That's an enhancement bonus, so let's see, that should stack here because I've got competence and exceptional here. So yeah, that'll stack. And it also gives me 10 melee and ranged power. That's not important to me. Really, I just have this for the healing amplification. Now, I do want to mention that this was changed in Update 38. Before, Crown of Summer acted as a weapon buff, and it would give you like plus 1d6 light damage on your weapon or something like that. You can only give it to one person, right? Yourself or a friend. But the problem is that, it conflicted with other weapon buffs, like from Artificers, for example. So they changed it to give melee and ranged power instead. So that was a good change. But like I said, I primarily have this for the healing amplification. It also has a new neat visual effect of having a circle of butterflies around your head. So let's see if we can see it in Fire Elemental form. I just clicked it. Yeah, see the butterflies? Druids get butter. It's so druidy, have like a crown of butterflies around you, right? I mean, thematically, it's just gorgeous, And then we got the whirlwind around us, and later on we, get some other visual effect with the leaves from like Spring's Resurgence and stuff. And so it's just very druidy. Okay, enough flavor. So that was all to mention on the enhancements. After this, I will pick up Elemental Mastery, but maybe not until level 17. That'll give me 15 additional spell power in my season, but at level 17 helps some added powers. I'll talk about that at the time. Of course, I'll want to get Wax and Wane here. I'll want to get Incineration here. I'll want to get substituting other spell powers. I can substitute cold for fire and vice versa. I'll want to get that later. I want to spend some more points here to increase my defenses. So I don't really know what I'm going to spend next, but we'll see next level, right? Okay, feats. Nothing at level 13 other than the Druid feat of you can choose your first elemental form. You have a choice of fire or cold. I like to do fire first because of this. Body of the Sun, which makes you like a walking firewall. It is so cool. It's basically like a firewall, more or less. It doesn't do extra damage to undead like a firewall, but it moves with you. And so it's a little bit different, though, that, you know, like, you don't maximize and empower this like you would like a firewall or another spell. It actually acts as a buff. And it scales better than Firewall on its own, so even if it's not maximized and empowered, which you can't maximize and empower it, but even just by itself, it does a decent amount of damage. It is tons of fun, one of the funnest spells in the game. I love it in Heroics. I don't really use it a whole lot in Epics. You know, by the time I get Water Elemental form at level 17, I primarily, you know, by the end of Heroics and definitely into Epics, I'm Water Elemental form. But in Heroics, I like to choose Water Elemental first, or Fire Elemental first at level 13, so that I can use Body of the Sun. Tons of fun. And while we're talking about spells, I also picked up Elemental Toughness. This is another spell that was changed in Update 38. It used to give you damage reduction 5, which was great for Heroics, but by the time you get into Epics, and especially Legendaries, was meaningless. So they changed it to give you 1 PRR per Druid level. So right now I'm getting 13 extra PRR from that. And I don't even have that on there. So when you saw my numbers earlier, 122 PRR, that was without that buff. But look, throw that, 135. Hell yeah. And guess what? More epic past lives are coming out. A new past life is coming out from each sphere. Each can be triple stacked, so that's 4 spheres, 4 past lives, triple stacked each, that's 12. What does that mean? Arcane, that means 3 more elemental absorption. Primal, that means a bunch more stacking hit points. Martial, that means some more 8 armor class. And then Divine, that means 9 more PRR. Looking forward to that yummy stuff. Okay, what else about spells? I don't think there's anything else to mention. I don't know. I think I had Vigor Mass before. Alright. Reaper Trees, there's nothing to mention. It's not until level 15 that I can get tier 3 and 8s. That'll give me some extra stats. Point of Wisdom, point of Con, and I'll go for Dexterity. Dexterity because it'll help reflex saves and armor class. I don't really need the Strength. Okay, what quests have I done? Well, done the Giant Hold walk-ups. Cry for Help. Feast or Famine, Foundation, Maze, and Trial by Fire. I also did, I did Memoirs already. And I did Assault on Summerfield. And that's really all that I do. And I would normally take level at this point. I'm rank 67, well into 14. But I wanted to do Memoirs for the video. So let's do it. Let's try R5 just for the challenge of it. I really don't know how this is going to go. I have 2 concerns. One is that there are no shrines in here, so mana is going to be super tight. I'm also concerned about the boss in the first part. I might not be able to heal through that efficiently, and it might just cost me way too much mana to heal through that, or I might not be able to heal through it all, period. But I do know that I'm going to go ahead and use Illyri now and top off before we get this madness started. And guess what? By the end of part 1, she might be just about ready to come out again. Might as well. Since we can, why not just bring out a summon, right? I mean, maybe it'll draw some fire. There's a couple of Pulp Fiction references right here in this part of the story. So you gotta deliver a message. These guys, Julius and Vincent, like Jules Winfield and Vincent Vega from Pulp Fiction. And you gotta take it back. And they talk a lot. That's a line that Mia Wallace says in Pulp Fiction when she's talking to Vincent Vega at Jackrabbit Slim's about what happened to the Samoan guy. What was his name? Shoot, drawing a blank. That Marcellus Wallace threw out of a window. Developed a little bit of a speech impediment after that. You know what I'm talking about. Tony Rakihara. Right? Is that it? They used to call him Tony Rakihara. Can you tell I like that movie? Time for you to die. I haven't really talked about the value of starting your spell rotation with the Salt Ray, because when you stun mobs, they take extra damage, like helpless damage, right? So that can be something that you want to get into the habit of doing. Plus, if they're stunned, they're not attacking you, right? I should be hitting my power drain from my Vile Blasphemy. We'll top off a little bit there, and stun both of those with both of our Salt Rays. Can we sunburst those guys? Will they blind? Both Salt Rays stun those guys again. Really focusing on the SLAs to try to conserve mana right now. That's all I'm generally casting, is just the SLAs. Remember, we have our torque, so if we wanted to, we can just sit here and shield block and generate some mana. Ooh, that champion needs to die. He needs to get stunned. He needs to have some fire blown in his face. He needs to get stunned again. Some more fire. How about a lightning bolt? How about a word of balance? And he's dead. So let's just shield block for a moment there. There's 27. That's from the torque. 19. That's from the torque. But they are getting some good hits on me, which makes me concerned about the boss. So let's just step out here. This is R5. It's no joke to solo. Right. Just use my temporary hit points there. So when they get some additional hits on me, it's just pulling off of that instead of my actual hit points. Redoing my Spring's Resurgence since it procced. And the temporary hit points wore off and my hit points fell down. Let's go ahead and hit the Vile Blasphemy again, generate some more spell points. Not as quick if I had a bunch of insta-kills, you know what I'm saying? But I don't have that. We will be getting Finger of Death later, and we will be using that in Upper Heroics, but don't have that now. And we don't exactly have endless mana, so we gotta conserve. I chose R5 not because I'm trying to say, hey, solo this on R5 on my build. No. Just fun of the challenge. Can I do it? I don't know. But we're gonna find out. Can we stun them both? Yes, we can. Double Salt Ray for the win. Oops, I accidentally threw a regular, or the Greater Creeping Cold. I didn't mean to do that. It's the same button as the SLA of Word of Balance. It just one is number 8 and one is control number 8. So if I don't hold down the control key properly, then you know, I throw the wrong spell. Spring's Resurgence proc, so recast it. The leaves dropped on the ground. You want to get used to that visual cue. Trying to stay ahead of this damage is not easy. Or I should say, it's just tedious, is a better way to say it. Or expensive if I want to sit there and cast spells from my mana pool. Is it time? It is. Might as well. Might as well use her before the boss spawns, right? The boss of this part. And I'm just going to alternate between the Divine Vitality and her Cure Moderates to get me up a little bit faster than me trying to throw healing scrolls on myself. Isn't she wonderful? I just love Illyri. And that's all of her mana. Where did the boss go? I don't know. Just trying to pull him in here to get out of the line of fire of those archers in there, though. Maybe he didn't see me? Ah, he gets stuck on the wall. Go ahead and throw some bigger dots on them. We do the body of the sun too, and we'll use our temporary hit points. We'll put a examination window up so we can see that we're not overwriting our own creeping colds. Remember, we don't want to overwrite them because the biggest damage is at the end of the spell. So if you recast it and overwrite your own creeping cold and greater creeping cold, you are overwriting the biggest damage ticks. So very important. Let's do another Vile Blasphemy while we're fighting. We'll bring back up the old Sleet Storm. Displacement. Yeah, this is exactly what I was worried about. See, I'm gonna get done with this part. I'm not gonna have any mana left. And that sucks. Oh, I didn't eat my candies. My Night Revels candies. Those are good. Extra spell power and PRR and MRR. Some more temporary hit points. Let's do one more Greater Creeping Cold. And that should just about have them finished off. And I supplement that with the SLAs. Okay, now that I don't have any mana left, what are we gonna do? Panic? Not yet. Stun those guys. The Creeping Cold finished off that clown. Stun him again. Be patient, wait for those SLAs to come off timer, and then not do anything because it's lagging. Okay, it's probably not time for Illyri yet. Let's see. 1 minute. But we're going to use some other clickies. I really want to try to get through this without using pots, and that might not be possible, but let's see how far we can get on our clickies. We got the Archivist Necklace. We got the Suicide Necklace. I'm going to go ahead and use my temporary hit points, right, to absorb the damage from the Suicide Necklace. How about that? Is that clever? And then we got the Ring of Spell Storing. Those are the other clickies that are available to us at this point. You can also get the Shard Trinket of Mnemonic Enhancement, but that, that costs dragon shards to buy those, but we could use that at this level range if we wanted to use our dragon shards for that. Okay, guess what? Is Illyri off timer yet? 26 seconds. I'm willing to wait because it's going to take me that long to heal myself with heal scrolls anyways. And I got to rebuff because this is taking so long that I've lost my buffs. Yes, thank you, Illyri. Let's go ahead and hit another Vile Blasphemy, because that last one's about to wear out. If nothing else, it's demonstrating how often you can use Illyri. Very important point. Okay, I have 700 mana. How far can we get? I'm gonna try to just forget about this first group and see if I can just go down here and get eaten by a Famine Reaper. Put on your spell absorption as soon as you see a Famine Reaper. No big deal. Their spells don't mean a whole lot when you get spell absorption on. So, like I said before, you want as many sources of spell absorption as you reasonably can. And right now that means Pale Lavender Rune Stone is the most important one, but you also have your Mantle of the World Shaper coming out of Thrunel, and next level we'll have our Jeweled Cloak from Giant Hold, the elite version, but you could have the normal or hard version at this point. It just has less charges on those. I don't know why this bodyguard just standing there. I think it's because he's blinded from the sleet storm. Yeah, that's why he's swinging wildly. That's fine. Let's do another Vile Blasphemy. Displacement Scroll. I'm going to go around the corner. You only have to do the group that's at the barrier. So that last group I ran by, don't need to do those. Do the temporary hit points. Yeah, those guys are pew-pewing me from the side, but that's okay. I'm going to try to tough it out. Ooh, yeah, Lost Soul. I need that. And another one. Okay, going to refresh the Spring's Resurgence. Displacement Scroll. Ooh, that champion hurts. He needs to be stunned and dead. Heal Scroll. Again, I really want to emphasize, like, I'm not trying to say you should solo this on R5 on this build. Just, like I said, it's just for the fun of the challenge. Obviously, if you were to do a much lower difficulty, you could do it a lot faster, or if you were with a group, R5, not a big deal. Maybe if you just had a buddy, and you can sit there and you can heal each other, right? Instead of trying to self-heal, which is really tedious the higher skull you go. Which, I'm going to go ahead and wait for that. Illyri is almost off timer, though. And I'm still at 671 mana. 675 now. Right? I started this part with 700, so it's not bad. Okay, let's go for it. We'll hit the Winter's Heart. We'll hit the Displacement Scroll. We'll equip the Pale Lavender because there's a Famine Reaper. And that guy needs to get stunned and dead. I'm going to go ahead and do Greater Creeping Cold on the Famine Reaper. Cool, and I'll bet Illyri's ready to go. 13 seconds. We'll do another Vile Blasphemy. I've already gone through 3 Vile Blasphemies. Did it just say we need to wait 0 minutes and 0 seconds before summoning her again? Yes, it did. She could top us off too. And we can equip our regular trinket again because we don't have Famine Reaper. Spell absorption might be really important in the unfight. I'm still worried about the unfight. That's a lot of mobs to deal with solo. Okay. That's the 4th time we've used Illyri this fight. This quest. Just gotta talk to this guy. Blasphemy charge is used up, so we'll do it again. As You Wish might be a Princess Bride reference there. Especially since there are lots and lots of Princess Bride references in DDO. I'd love to make a movie about that sometime. Just about Princess Bride references in DDO, but, you know, tons of videos I'd like to do, and getting around to it is a whole other story. Let's throw a Sleet Storm because we know that they're going to be nasty in a second. Stun him, unload the SLAs on him. Hey, we'll try to blind him too. Oops, I just used the regular version of Call Lightning, didn't mean to. I'll take that Lost Soul and this Champ Chest. Stun that nasty caster. Can we do the Petrification Runestone on that one? Yep. Trying to stun him, but let's hit the temporary hit points. Champ Chest. That guy doesn't want to stun. Can we stone him? That's a Fortitude save. That's a different save than the... I think it's a different save than the Salt Ray. What is the Salt Ray? We're going to have to look. Fortitude save. Okay, so I just got lucky, I guess, with the... Oh, it's interesting. So that's a 37 DC, but this is 34. Okay, so my spells are a little bit higher than the Petrifying Runestone. Is Illyri ready yet? 1 minute. So by the time we run to the end, temporary hit points. We're going to hit the Rallying Cry to run really fast. Oh, why not a Scroll of Displacement? The Rallying Cry is the Purple Dragon Knight past life clicky. I love PDK past life. Ooh, this guy followed us. We'll stun him, hit him with all the SLAs, and we'll stun him again. SLAs are off cooldown. That was all SLAs. Okay. So, 56 seconds. I definitely want to use Illyri again before we start this end fight. And you know, not only are we seeing if we can do this solo on R5, but we're also showing how you can really leverage your spell points. Having multiple Vile Blasphemies, right? Pulling out Illyri every 5 minutes. I mean, if you're a soloer, Illyri is delicious, you know? Unless you're a high roller that doesn't care about dropping money on a bunch of spell point pots from the store. And that's fine if you like to do that. I got friends that like to do that. It's all good. Me, not so much. How much longer on Illyri? 10 seconds. Okay, I can live with that. We need to rebuff anyways. I do not want my buffs to run out during this end fight. Not my shield, not my freedom, not my death ward, not my GH, which I just failed. Not my spell resistance. I want it all. And I want it now. Isn't that what Queen said? Yes, they did. Thank you, Illyri. Let's go ahead and hit another charge off of Vile Blasphemy while that's going on. We might actually get through this, and maybe without drinking any pots. I'm pretty emotionally committed to finishing this now. Look at that, back up to about 700 spell points. Alright, I'm going to hit another charge of Vile Blasphemy just so it's going for, I don't have to tend to it for as long as possible. Displacement, let's do Body of the Sun, Sleet Storm, Ice Storm, let's do some weeds. Yep. And let's do a Sleet Storm over here so they got a surprise when they pop. I don't need this light bear coming after me. Let's do our temporary hit points. And let's go ahead and do a Greater Creeping Cold, right? What is that, a Famine Reaper? Spell absorption time. Let's do the displacement. Famine's dead, putting on the regular trinket. Looks like this champion wizard's not too far from dead, so we'll do him next. Okay, who wants some? That light bear is still around, but doesn't know what time it is in the sleet storm, so we'll give her another sleet storm. Okay, she's dead. This dwarf needs to die too, right? Okay, let's blind some of those guys. The temporary hit points are almost off timer. Let's hide in our own sleet storm. We'll do the temporary. We'll do the displacement. Hey, soloing ain't easy, but sometimes it's necessary. At least soloing R5s aren't easy, not for me. But it's a fun challenge. I'm still really focusing on SLAs at this point, because I don't have a lot of mana. And so this Lost Soul helps, and I'm going to go ahead and do another Vile Blasphemy. Body of the Sun. Ooh, we need a heal scroll there. Alright, who wants to die next? That Fey touched. Can we stun him? Can we stone him? Can we do something? Oh god. I'm about to die. Give me some temporary hit points there. There they are. But I've got to throw myself some heal scrolls because when those temporary hit points wear off, I'm gonna die. I've got 15 seconds left. This is called jumping around like a jackass, folks. Sometimes you gotta do it to stay alive. Damn. Ooh, that's what I need right there. Big heal on myself. From the spell points, we're going to throw a... Oh, I should have thrown that on this guy, because he hurts too. This is intense. Okay, temporary hit points. Oh, this guy's still here? Damn it, Jim. I'm gonna have to throw heal scrolls on myself. I'm gonna have to do another Vile Blasphemy. Yeah, I could drink pots, but I really don't want to. I really like to save pots for, like, you know, emergencies and raids, for example. I'm not made of mana pots. This thing has a lot of hit points or damage reduction or both or something. Okay, it's just me and Lucy. And I got now 9 spell points. It's tedious, isn't it? Maybe I should have just done something more reasonable, like soloed R3 or R4. But see, you know what? Now you'll know not to do it on R5 on my build. Like, Ginger took 5 hours to do it. I'm not doing that. It's ridiculous. We need to do another Vile Blasphemy and then put our regular gloves back on, which clearly we forgot to do last time. I'm out. I got nothing. That's it. Do you think we can pull out Illyri on the fly and have her gas us up on the fly? Let's put her on passive and see if we can run around and have her gas us up. Yes, we can. See that? I can just run in a circle and have her gas us up. Now she's gonna give me some more. Thank you, Illyri. And some more. Holy crap. That was intense. It was tedious. I'm not even sure if it was fun. But we did answer the question, can we solo this on R5? Yeah, barely. Well, maybe for all our effort, we'll get a Reaper stat on our Pansophic Circlet that we're about to pull here. Gotta re-roll it on video, right? Not today, Ginger. Yeah, story of my life. Well, thanks for watching. If you have any questions about my build, you can respond to my build post in the Druid forums. If you have any questions about my videos, you can respond on YouTube.